The Bentley, hypothetical or actual, that you're now thinking about is very probably a Continental GT. A big part of that comes down to statistics. Since its introduction in 2003, something approaching 70,000 of them have rolled out of the works at Crewe, making it far and away the most successful Bentley model of all time. And though we're all going to be seeing a lot, in relative terms, of Bentaygas on the road from here on out, it is the Continental GT that, more than any other vehicle, redefined the British marque upon its introduction, launching it into the 21st century. The 2019 Continental GT is a totally new car. At a surface level, though, it looks very familiar. The proportions are classic, which is to say that they're almost identical to those of the outgoing Continental GT, and the W12, a new, 66 pounds lighter unit now producing 626 horsepower and 664 pounds-to-foot of torque, still sports twin turbochargers and displaces 6.0 liters. But there are deep changes beneath the deeply creased, superformed, in fact, aluminum skin. The new Continental GT is lighter, trimmer and now riding on a longer 112.2-inch wheelbase. The VW Phaeton-derived bones are gone, it is now built around brand new architecture co-developed with that of the Porsche Panamera. Though the car is still all-wheel drive, it is no longer locked into a 40-60 front-rear split. The new system defaults to rear drive, doling power out to the front axles only when needed, and you can dial in a bit more rear bias by switching into sport mode, which further limits the amount of power sent forward. The Continental GT handles Grossglockner's endless hairpins with ease, grace, even. The air suspension and body roll control system allow the appropriate degree of floatiness without setting you up for nausea-inducing side-to-side undulations during cornering. If you really focus on it, you'll tell yourself you can feel the brake-actuated torque vectoring biting in to help rip you around the tightest curves. If I hadn't told you about it, you'd have never noticed. Yes, there is a lot going on under the skin of this car to make it move as confidently as it does, but like the concealable infotainment screen, it's executed so seamlessly that during on-road driving it never intrudes on the overall experience. And here's something refreshing, the Continental GT doesn't masquerade as a sports car. Some vehicles, for example, the Audi A8, feel weirdly unsubstantial for their given footprint, something that's never been an issue for Bentleys. The new one tips the scales at just 4,947 pounds, but it feels appropriately weighty. If it's a leather-trimmed bank vault on wheels, it's a wieldy one. Steering feel is limited but precise, and thankfully not overboosted. The car doesn't pretend to be small or light, not even in sport mode. Instead, its mass-made fast proposition becomes a key part of its appeal. The expressway driving? Of course, it's easy, restorative, almost, especially once I find and activate the seat massagers, but high-speed serenity is a given in a Bentley. If there's one downside to sitting inside the Continental GT, it's that you can't appreciate how good it looks in motion. The exterior design isn't quite as cohesive as that of the interior. There are a lot of interesting elements, from the dazzling cut crystal-inspired headlights to a more upright front fascia to side character lines that subtly recall the R-Type Continentals of the 1950s. But there are one or two curious, almost awkward angles on the car, as well. Yet it does, to fall into a car rider cliché, truly look excellent going down the road. It has a real presence, the kind befitting of a car wearing the flying B. In many respects, the new Continental GT represents a conservative play by Bentley. Though totally new and substantially improved when compared to the outgoing model, its formula remains the same right down to the displacement of the W12. If you need to be on the bleeding edge, this isn't the car for you. Heck, Bentley probably isn't the marque for you. But this time around, Bentley wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel, or itself. The automaker's mandate was simple, if not exactly modest: design and build the ultimate grand tourer, one that does everything the outgoing car did and then some. The result is a car that feels classic even though it's only just debuted, and if its predecessor is any indication, it's got a good long run ahead of it. There's a lot you can buy for the Continental GT starting price. including one very rakish Aston, but the Bentley has an on-road presence all its own and a handcrafted interior to top them all. I wouldn't hesitate to drive any distance in this car at a moment's notice. The highest praise I can think to give a big tourer. The only way to top it would be to get in the back of a chauffeur-driven ride, which defeats the whole purpose. Does anybody actually use grand tours for anything other than commuting these days? Who knows? Maybe you, future 2019 Bentley Continental GT owner, could be the start of a revival. Maybe this is the car that makes you leave the private jet in the hangar, for once. Why fly? Let's take the Bentley. Thanks for watching.